Yeah, is always changing, but sometimes it's not for the best. Vancouver is a small, big city, but there are sometimes some serious growing pains happening that you should know about before you make your move here. Hi, I'm Cassandra Marks, also known as Realtor Cass, and I am your local guide to all things Vancouver, Clark County, Southwest Washington. And with the growth Vancouver has seen over the past 10 years, much has changed. Some of it's been good, but some of it has not. But I'll let you decide which way that scale has tipped. So let's start with some of the good stuff, because we love good stuff, right? Community events. There are so many different community events. Sometimes I don't even know how to choose what looks like the most fun for the weekend. Farmers markets, trivia nights, the theater, craft workshops like the candle making class I did with some girlfriends at the Gather Art Studio, and maybe a mushroom foraging class with Wildcraft Studios. Have you actually foraged for mushrooms before, by the way? Let me tell you a little bit about this. My girlfriend, Katie, and I got in the car, drove 2.5 hours to the east out to Mount Adams, into the gorge, and went into the woods with like 8 or 10 people. We had no idea who they were. We got there and we met up, and then we followed these cars, no phone service, and we spent the entire day walking around in the woods, picking mushrooms and talking with our teacher about them. It was pretty sweet. I'm looking forward to this fall where we can, maybe if I remember everything, I can go out and forage for mushrooms again. But overall, it was a really good time, and I learned a lot. I think you get the point. There is always something fun to do here in the Vancouver area. The next thing people love about Vancouver is the proximity to nature. Obviously, we just talked about that, but when nature calls, you must go. And that's such a huge thing here in the Pacific Northwest. If you don't love the outdoors, you soon will. Hiking, biking, kayaking, camping, skiing, windsurfing, fishing, heck, even going to the beach. I love going to the beach and just like bringing my dog and playing ball. She loves to dig holes at the beach. The third thing people love about Vancouver is the proximity to the Portland International Airport. And this is crucial because Vancouver, Portland is the smallest big city on the West Coast, and it's still quite affordable. So you would assume that means the commute would be horrible with all of the people that have moved here. But honestly, getting over to the airport from Vancouver, just over the bridge, is a relative breeze. I like to travel, and I have flown out of most large airports on the West Coast, from John Wayne in Orange County to Ontario, LAX, Oakland, SFO, San Jose, and even Seattle. And I have to say, my experience with the size of those airports, the amount of people there, and even the traffic getting to the airport has just made it absolutely brutal compared to my 10-minute drop off at the front door, get through TSA and get to the gate at PDX. And they have been diligently remodeling the airport for about the past 2 years, making it even better for travelers. The fourth thing people love about Vancouver is the job market. The job market here has a wide variety of employment opportunities, and many people actually choose to live in Vancouver and then commute over the bridge to Portland for work. But from an income tax perspective, it's definitely not something I recommend, since Oregon has income tax and Washington doesn't. But expanding your commute does allow for more choices. And there is a large and growing tech sector over in the Hillsboro and Beaverton, Oregon areas, along with many big-name companies like Nike, Adidas, and Intel. And many companies are expanding or moving to the area because other areas like Silicon Valley have become way too expensive to rent and own office space and to attract high-end talent. So being the most affordable big city on the West Coast has its perks sometimes, because companies have a lower cost of living here and for their employees, so that the salaries don't need to be astronomical just to live in the area. So yeah, the growth in the community has definitely spurred more diversity in community and in events. People love living here because of the proximity to nature, and it's easy to travel from the Portland airport and back. Not to mention the affordability has grown with the job opportunities, but that's just the good changes. And with the good always comes challenges or the bad. So let's start talking about those. And some of those are the drivers and the traffic. With the growth of affordability issues in housing, people living that outdoor lifestyle in the Pacific Northwest, we have seen an increase in population for sure. And for people that haven't driven around the Vancouver-Portland area, the highway system kind of sucks. It was never intended to cater to the amount of traffic that it does absolutely every day. And when you add 2 rivers that people have to commute back and forth over, and there's not that many options to get over, the traffic is even worse. But it's not just the traffic that has changed. With the increase of population, the job market has become more limited, With many jobs becoming virtual over the past few years, you're no longer competing with just the people living in your area. For, opportunities, you're also competing with people from all over the country and sometimes all over the world for these remote jobs. Next up, one thing I absolutely hate. Oh my gosh. This one's a big one for me. It is the weather and the darkness. So the big dark happens here from middle of November to middle of January. It is just brutally dark. You get up, it's dark till 8 in the morning, and then it's dark again at 4:30. It is so very difficult. And it was like that when I lived in Minnesota too, but I think it's worse out here. Also, the rain, the miserable, dreary rain. It's gray every day here, and sometimes it can be gray and rainy from October to July. It was that way last year, and it was absolutely awful. But this year wasn't as bad, but that rain, we put on, here in the Pacific Northwest, we usually just put on a jacket or a hoodie. We definitely don't use umbrellas. You can tell who the transplants are because they do use umbrellas. But you go outside and you're just always a little damp, always a little wet. It's always kind of drizzling. Last spring, it just rained and rained and rained and rained. It was actually like tsunami rain, and I just was shocked at how much rain we got. But that doesn't stop people. People still go outside, but it is hard. So the next thing that's kind of annoying and people don't like is the growing homeless population. And yes, it has been getting larger and larger, and that's mostly because of affordability issues in both buying a home and renting a home or an apartment. It is just really crazy expensive here on the West Coast, and the weather is rather temperate, so it's a little bit easier for folks to live outside and be homeless in the Pacific Northwest than, say, somewhere in the Midwest or in Montana. It's just a little bit, the weather's a little bit nicer. But it is getting a little bit out of control, and people are trying to fix it. It's just, you constantly see on the news or hear people talking about it, that they're just all over downtown and you can't enjoy the area because there's tents and needles. And rightfully so, it is hard. It is hard. But, cities like Vancouver and cities like Portland, well, Vancouver is trying to fix some of what's going on. And a lot of people have been coming over from Portland to Vancouver because Vancouver and Washington definitely does more for their homeless population. So those are some things, just wanted to share with you some of the pros and some of the cons, some of the goods and the bads. There's definitely a few, lots to think about, but it's still an amazing place to live here in Vancouver, Clark County, Southwest Washington. So if you have more questions, please drop them down in the comments or reach out to me, because I get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you every single day who are looking to make a move to my area, and I absolutely do love it here. Even though there's a lot of good and bad things, I still ultimately wouldn't change a thing and do love Vancouver. So if you're looking to make a move in the next 9 or 90 days, I don't care. Reach out to me. Let's have a chat. Let's find a really great place for you to move, whether it is new build in a neighborhood or some acreage out in the country. I would love to help you. So again, my name is Cassandra Marks, also known as Realtor Cass. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day, and I hope you come back soon. Until I see you again. Bye.